Now, Sammy, why we do that? It looks like if you look at what the academicians who tend to watch the political space are saying, and then those who are watching the policy issues, the argument is that it is Dr. Bawumia and his camp who seem to be speaking to the policy issues.
So the question is that which of the policy issues is Dr. Bawumia's camp speaking about? Have you heard any
Digitalization.
Digitalization.
Continuation of the policies of the Nana Addo Dankwa.
Which policies? All the policies that they tabled from 2017 have ended up disastrously.
Okay. I'll let you continue. Please continue from where you, if you're comfortable.
I mean, I've listened to Honorable Agyapong come to my constituency. All I would say is that we all should be mindful of what we say on our campaign trails. I mean, yes, if you are coming up against a candidate who is part of a certain establishment, you may be lured into attempting to hit at the establishment. But it is the same government that will all have to get out there and campaign based on their successes. So we all must be measured. That said, the events leading up to November 4th, I think that it's gradually getting interesting. I am hoping and praying that the leadership of the party will soon invite all the aspirants and speak to them. I mean, in everything we do, you need to look at the NPP. In every communication that you bring out, you need to look at the NPP. And for me, that should be the way forward. Just like Doctor said, it's looking at like Dr. Bawumia is winning the elections, and if
Are you declaring for Dr. Bawumia?
Well, I mean, I am a politician. I've sat down, I've looked at the numbers, and it's looking at it like it. But so
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Yes.
David Ansopoku for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, OPK.
I'm saying
AKA.
that. Well, if you want me to do that, I can. But just let me communicate. Let me communicate. I'm saying that if you look at the events leading up to November 4th, and looking at how the superdelegates election went, it's extremely going to be difficult if Dr. Bawumia doesn't emerge. It doesn't really add up for me as a politician. And when you see how he's carrying himself, and just this weekend he was with Agyapong, one of the aspirants, trying to support him even when Kobna is bereaved. So it's a clear indication that he's preparing himself for the big battle ahead. Honorable Agyapong we should not also rule him out. This is a man that enjoys a lot of support, appeal from the grassroots. And if he wins or he does not win, how we manage and handle issues of Agyapong will be crucial in the NPP moving forward. I have said that the constitution of NPP and how the timelines for electing the flag bearer has not really helped the NPP to some extent. Because immediately after November 4th, you have barely a year. And for me, I'm looking forward to a period where we will not have to go and engage people and try and talk people out to calm down and come and support the bigger agenda and all of that. So, like I mentioned, we all must be circumspect in what we say. We all must be careful how we communicate moving forward. It is the NPP that we serve. And if you are an NPP member, the Honorable Agyapong speaks well of the legacies of President Akufo-Addo. Of course, he's one man who, if he sees anything wrong, will not want to hide it. And it is something that I like about him. But like I mentioned, we all must be measured in how we approach issues. The NDC already has their presidential candidate. They've selected parliamentary candidates in virtually every constituency. And we've seen them go to town campaigning. For the NPP, we are yet to elect even parliamentary candidates in orphan constituencies, which is a bit worrying. And I want to use this medium to appeal to the leadership of my party that especially for areas where we do not have parliamentary candidates, we need to have a clear timeline. I mean, you announced that people should go and pick forms. People have picked forms, they have submitted it. And as to the particular day that constituencies will be voted, we do not even know.
You people don't know.
I mean, if you do that,
it hasn't been communicated.
No, the party says that they are being strategic in trying to elect or the days at which. But I think that there has to be some constituencies that we feel are special cases. You isolate them and fix a date where all orphan constituencies would campaign. I mean, I have a colleague who is campaigning and in an orphan constituency where it is really, really difficult for the NPP to win. And the amount of money and the uncertainty in the timing is quite worrying. Okay. So I'm appealing to Justin Kodria and the national leadership of our party to at least bring a definite timeline that in all of our constituencies, we are voting, let's say, in December 5 or in December 6. Then everybody knows and will prepare for it.
It looks like there seems to be some level of uncertainty, as OPK has said. But he seemed also to have given the endorsement, and it's also based on well-researched observations, especially coming from people in academia, and then the research institutions, that DMB, that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President, it is possible 2024, seems to be speaking to the policy issues.
First of all, I told you that there is no policy issue that Dr. Bawumia has spoken about. You see, Roland,
yes, sir.
The moment you start doing that, the people of Ghana feel insulted. At this point in time, no Ghanaian takes those policies serious. You cannot tell me that NPP's promise of one village, one dam has been realized. Go around. Haven't you seen press conferences that we in the NDC have done, where places that were earmarked for dams, just pits have been dug and there's nothing in it. Just waste of public resources. This one factory. How many factories have they built from scratch? Jomama, one of Jomama's factory trumps all the factories that NPP has built. Jomama invested $1 billion in building the Atwabo gas plant, which saves Ghana 300 million Ghana cedis. That alone completely vanquishes NPP's factories. And so that policy itself has failed. $1 million per constituency. How many constituencies have received their 1 million? OPK is an MP. He can tell us whether his constituency has received the 1 million and what has that money been used for in his constituency. And so it is very, very insulting when we start mentioning those policies of the NPP.
I don't know. You guys explain free SHS, yes. Parents who say that.
Roland, you and I have sat here on this platform and reviewed the challenges in free SHS. How the program was hurriedly implemented, how the program has been stifled, how the program has been denied of necessary funds, even though billions of Ghana cedis have been accrued to this government. You cannot tell me that free SHS in this state is what the NPP promised. If this is what they promised, do you think the people of Ghana would have voted for them? And so no policy alternative has been proposed by Dr. Bawumia's campaign as compared to what President Mahama did when he was campaigning. President Mahama said that looking at how things are going, looking at the state of Ghana, looking at how Ghana has been locked out from the international bond market, looking at how there's uncertainty, he doesn't think that from now onwards it is tenable for governments to pay ex gratia. And that when he comes as the president from 2025, ex gratia paid to executive and judiciary will be a thing of the past. Have you heard Dr. Bawumia mention? Just 2 weeks ago, whilst President Mahama is promising to scrap ex gratia, President Akufo-Addo just 2 weeks ago has inaugurated a committee to start paying ex gratia, to start arrangements to pay ex gratia. And so the NDC is worlds apart. It's completely different from the NPP. And so it must be put on record that the NPP has failed. They have not lived up to expectation. They have brought untold hardships onto the people of Ghana. And the people of Ghana are going to vote them out. As he sits here, he tells us that his party is completely disorganized. They are in complete disarray.
Who
they cannot even tell when they are going
He
to
didn't
do,
use disorganize.
if you tell me,
Be measured in how
honorable,
you want to spin things that because I can do worse.
honorable,
Young man, listen.
Honorable, let me
I'm
talk.
saying that.
We said as we sit here, you don't
please.
even know when
The
primaries-
timetable for that.
Yes.
But he didn't say disorganize.
If you have 1 year to an election, you don't know when you are going to do your primaries for your parliamentary candidates.
Young man,
You don't need rocket science
take your
to know that the party is in disarray.
take your time and listen to what I say.
Honorable, Roland heard you. Viewers are listening. We all heard what you
So
said.
the disorganized use a synonym.
It's a description of what he
Well,
said.
you have Roland
okay.
to
Yes.
support you. So
Roland.
I don't understand you.
yeah.
Please conclude for me.
Yes.
All right.
That's
So, Dr. Kwesi Amachi Boateng, if the vice president is the one speaking to policy issues, and those in research institutions and all of you in academia as well, and it looks like a cross-section of the media seem to be indicating he's the one foremostly to win, does it mean that he's poised to defend the record of the government for which is the vice president, the head of the economic management team, and how is he going to fare in that defense?
Actually, that to me is the uphill task. You know, talking is not doing. And the very first challenge that Dr. Bawumia has is having to defend the rhetorics that he used to support Nanado's campaign in 2016. He will have to defend that. He will have to tell Ghanaians exactly the context in which he said some of the things he's saying, because currently some of his people from his camp are trying to suggest that, you know, as the head of the economic management team, he's not necessarily being the one in charge of policy formulation and, if you like, even ensuring policy implementation. And some of us will not take that. Will not take it because he created an impression, especially in 2016, you know, prior to that elections. He created an impression that he understood how governance, you know, unfolds, the way governments work. And he was emphatic in some of the, you know, things that he said, that in some cases he even gave timelines, 100 years in office, 100 days in office. We are going to be able to do that. In this number of years of the NPP's government, we're going to ensure that A, B, C, D are in place. So there's someone who knew what he was talking about, who, you know, appeared to have his hands on everything. So now you cannot turn around and tell us that because of A, B, C, D, we couldn't. No, those excuses will not be taken. They have a challenge. He's the number 2, you know, in the country. So he's going to have to defend their record. He's going to have to let Ghanaians also know, I mean, accountability for the amount of money, the huge amount of money that have come into the system, the banking crisis, how they manage it. Why are they increasing cocoa prices now? Is it because of elections? Is it an attempt to, if you like, sadly, but in a way, pay off people to create an impression that they care? Can we balance that off with inflation and other challenges that the economy faces? So, Dr. Bawumia, I mean, after these November 4 exercises are over, the real contest will begin, and I think we're going to insist on accountability. They're going to tell us exactly how they've managed the economy and why we are where we are. You know, this issue about COVID and Russia and Ukraine is an interesting thing. Russia and Ukraine, the two countries in the midst of the conflict, are supplying the world with agricultural products. Ghanaian farmers, Ghanaian businesswomen, entrepreneurs go to Burkina Faso to buy tomatoes to come and sell in Ghana. We'll get an explanation from Dr. Bawumia on that issue. Planting for food and jobs, how much money went into it, and why are we where we are? So, I mean, the NPP, whoever comes out, has a lot of issues to address, a lot of issues. I might not have said that on your platform, but I've always maintained that they are heading back to the bush. I've always maintained that. And democratically, you see, if you don't have this democratic justice, that's my own coinage.
Okay.
The system begins to decay. If you don't have democratic justice, normatively, the system begins to decay. If people in power are not made to account for their stewardship, then people begin to lose interest in the system and they will be exploring other ways to sort of bring the regime into disrepute. So generally, this democratic justice must necessarily happen. And that is the only reason I, put out to support my, assertion that we are heading back home. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
This observation that you make, is it that if you look at the heart of the NPP, which is the Ashanti region, opinions are divided about how well the government has performed or how effectively, let's say, any of these candidates, and you are, of course, saying Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia could perform in the lead up to the 2024 general elections?
You see, Ashanti region has its own peculiar case. People are not satisfied with the performance of the government in the region. People are not satisfied that Ashanti region, the area that provides a lot of votes to the NPP, has not received its fair share of the national cake. The other time, yes. Look, I don't know, but you don't have the video. The last time Nanadu came to Kumasi, he was hooted at. He sat glued to his vehicle. They maintained the windows and everything tight. Previously, he would be standing in the overhead thing and waving white handkerchiefs to people. Occasionally, he would come out. Women will simply lay, their clothes on the floor for him to walk on. The last time around, he couldn't dare. He sat in a tight, a vehicle, all windows closed and everything. Yeah, people were hooting at him. The video is there for everybody to see. On an FM station here in Kumasi, they confronted him with the issue, his terrible performance in Ashanti region, the lack of development in the area. And then they told him, they were blunt and told him that people are threatening not to vote. His response was that he doesn't care if they don't vote. The audio is there for everybody who wants to, listen to it to do that. So Ashanti region has its own case with the NPP. When the majority leader went to his constituency, we know what happened. They pelted him with water. So the place is not necessarily as it used to be, some time ago. And so people believe that even with the Alan issue, then it might give room for those who many of us believe were either not going to vote or possibly change their voting patterns, because at the same time you see a resurging NDC in the region. The last time they conducted their regional elections, the new faces that showed up was a shocker. Many new faces who came out to participate in the NDC's regional elections in Ashanti region. So I see a resurgence. I've not conducted any survey, but I see a resurgence. These new faces are leaders, they are elites, they have their own constituencies. And so definitely we expect the fortunes of the party, to go up. So Ashanti region has its own, new dynamics altogether. I don't think it's the same place that MPP has counted on all the time.
Okay. Thank you for adding up to a great discussion and great knowledge sharing from you as well. Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng, I wish you the rest of the day being well for you and your family. He's a political scientist with the Political Studies and History Department, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. That's your school, right? Okay, no.
I went to UCC.
UCC, yes, yeah. UCC champion. Now,
well, I listened to
your conclusion, yes.
Dr. Machi, and clearly, he seemed to have taken a position, and that is his right. But I beg to differ on a lot of the stance that is. I have not seen a video of Akufo-Addo being hooted at KJTR Market.
I see.
I have not seen such a video. I mean, if the president is driving towards KJTR, you do not expect the president to walk on the ground. He sat in his vehicle, got there, got down, went into the market to at least meet with the market women. And we all saw videos of that. The president was never hooted at. So it's so unfair. I mean, if a member of parliament goes into his constituency, and I'm surprised that Dr. Amache would want to justify what happened in to the leader, of parliament. When a political scientist knows that it is not really the responsibility of the member of parliament to construct road. We lobby. We try to lobby, try to get governments to put projects in our constituencies in their plan. But the execution of that is the role of the executive. And so if you sit on TV and try and justify something that you should be condemning, you should be educating the general public on, then
what he did say was that these are resounding responses from constituents who, in the bigger envelope, are residents, voters of the Ashanti region, the basket of the NPP.
It also goes further to talk about the recent increment in cocoa pricing, and he wants to find out if it's for political gain. To what end? What do we gain out of this? The farmers are happy. We all saw the farmers with the president in Tepa. They were extremely happy. And that is what governments need to do. If you have cocoa farmers today, for the first time in our history, we see cocoa prices from Ghana higher than that of Ivory Coast. It is something that the professor should be commending the government of Akufo-Addo for. And so...
please conclude for me.
His attempt on this program is a bit worrying, and it even goes further to confirm some perception that probably maybe is an analyst that is tilted towards the NDC. But
is that so? You haven't observed Dr. Kwesi Amachibua?
I have heard it severally. And I think it's unfortunate. The NPP appreciates the difficulties that Ghanaians find themselves. But I also know that Ghanaians also are appreciative of what the NPP is doing. In all spheres of the economy. And it's something that we'll continually do. We are hoping that by next year, Ghanaians will see that, yes, indeed, despite the difficulties that they went through, it is the NPP that is solving their problems, and it's the NPP that has better solutions to advancing the progress that we all seek in our country.
As you conclude on that, you raised the subject of Kujeto Ablakwa raising issues with the frontiers, COVID-19 actions, and
what are his issues?
How it looks like government has been deprived of needed revenue, whilst it could have gone to some other institutions.
Yes. I think that I read that release by the Honorable Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa yesterday.
With some backed evidence as well.
Yes, I am very, very set aback. I'm very disappointed because these monies that were accrued to these companies could have been accrued to Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. It could have been accrued to the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. Because this is a company that is owned by a foreign investor who has no capacity or no track record in that service he rendered in Ghana. We have superior entities in Ghana like Noguchi, who could have done even better what that company did. And without any open, transparent, competitive bidding process, a contract of that nature was awarded to the businessman or to the entity to rake in such amounts of money at the peril of state institutions. Because whilst other airports were charging $10 per person, we were charging from initially $150 per person, which came to $50 for ECOWAS.
Which airport charged
Kotoka.
$10?
Oh, yes.
Which airport charged $10? I just want to know. You said some airports, and I'm asking which airport?
Côte d'Ivoire.
They charge $10?
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
But you see,
honorable, hold on. When you speak, I don't.
You have a minute.
Yes. So, when you speak, I don't.
Let him land, and I'll give it to you.
Okay.
You did.
And so, an entity has engaged in this sort of extortion and has paid a little. They accrued over $130 million in a space of 18 months and paid only $8 million to Ghana. These monies could have been accrued to
the state institution.
Yes, who have been stifled of resources.
I think that's the thrust of
for the past years. This goes to a long way. This adds to the tall list of acts of corruption that this government engaged in during COVID. You recall that they paid about 10 million. They said they are paying about 10 million Ghana cedis to frontline health workers. Up to now, we have not seen the list of health workers who received that insurance cover. They paid over 11 million Ghana cedis to caterers in Kumasi for distribution of hot meals without showing evidence of work done. They paid $110,000 to a hospital who never engaged or who never took care of any patient of COVID-19. They paid over $50 million to construct an isolation center somewhere in Northeast. The contractor received 4.5 million and never showed up to the center.
And these are in the special COVID
report.
On
the
these are matters of public
record. This goes a long way to show that the government used COVID-19 to sponsor themselves, to line their pocket with huge sums of money, whilst the ordinary Ghanaian suffered from the ravages of COVID.
Okay. Let me give you 2 minutes to conclude on this. I'm sure you're a member of parliament, so you're familiar with all these issues about frontier health services.
Well, I am surprised that Ablakwa will raise an issue without pointing to us any illegality that has been done. It talks about not giving Ghanaian institutions the opportunity to
first right of option.
Yes, I mean, but I'm sure that Ablakwa never got the COVID, because I contracted COVID on 2 occasions.
And you were treated by Frontier.
And I went to Noguchi. Anytime I went to Noguchi, I saw a long queue.
I don't understand. Are you running down
Noguchi?
That.
I'm not doing that. I'm saying
what are you doing?
Noguchi in itself were overwhelmed. I mean, they had a lot of cases coming to them. So how were you expecting that? Of course, if they were able to handle it, is it the case that Frontier did not do what was right? Did you ever hear anybody complain about the services that were being delivered by Frontier? I mean, this attempt, is the NDC saying that in their award of contracts to entities whilst in government, they never supported the private sector? What is wrong if a private businessman in itself, is awarded a contract to execute for and on behalf
they
of
were charging $50 at a time. Other airports were charging $10.
I think the argument
you are saying it was right. Is that what you are saying?
Why are you flip-flopping? You start on this studio, said they were charging $150 against $10.
Then
now you are saying that $50 against $10.
Why? These are matters of public record.
Why are you flip-flopping?
Yes, I mean, they started with $150.
I'm saying that Ablakwa is a member of parliament.
Yes.
These attempt at publishing government documents and trying to spin them to cause disaffection for the government is not helping.
Where is the spin?
But I'm saying that what is wrong? What went wrong? What is illegal?
Okay. So because no illegality,
are we saying that saying is wrong? Is that what Ablakwa is saying? If that is what he's saying, they will point out contracts that were sole source in this country.
President Kufuor's cousin sat on Twitter and said that sole source means stealing. So the very people.
Davis.
They are now.
You are telling me that Noguchi does not deserve that amount of money. Noguchi does not deserve that amount of money. But it is a private entity
is a politician as well as a medical doctor as well.
You may claim that.
Dr. Aye, thank you for coming. OPK, thank you for coming as well. We do encourage you to make sure you cash out with a short code *439#. We do encourage you to save this on your phone, *439#, and let's do the first draw if we can. Gentlemen, please take part in our cash out. So 3, 2, 1. Let's do the draws. First one. So the number for the first draw is 0243434 and counting. Let's do the second one. Let's make sure we call that first winner and get to see what they think about their win this morning. And let's do the second one quickly. 3, 2, 1, and this is the draw. So the next winner is the number 0552088. And I have this one from Prince Henry in Kofodia, who says, OPK knows from his heart that the NPP hasn't done well, and we've already been in opposition. It will depend on what the outcome of the elections are. And then Master Planner Junior Kintampo says Dr. Aye and his NDC should continue tickling themselves and laughing. Dr. Bawumia will give them a showdown. And then Mike Aflu also says there's video evidence that President Akufo-Addo was hooted at and booed in Kumasi. You send the video as well. We also have it in our archives. And then also this one from says, let OPK know that the majority leader is a minister and so is part of the executive, which is true. Sampi Yale says, if the NPP communicators do not want to be questioned by hosts of program, they should cease also coming to the stations as well, because the strategy of lampooning Roland is too primitive.
I attempted to do that.
All right. So Mani Nimani also says, well, President Kufuor sent people to go and pray at Akosombo. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.